All right, lads, and welcome back to the Off the Line podcast with myself and Jamie.
Hello, it's been a while.
And we're back. We're back. We've had a short hiatus for a couple of weeks from producing content and
Premier League football is dead.
streaming. Premier League football died for a little bit, and then it came back, and then Chelsea lost 5-2, and I was in no mood to talk about it at all. And me and Jamie are in the process of slowly going back to work as well. So that's a process. That's something that's getting in the way of the production of top quality based content.
Yeah.
But no, we're back this week, and we're back talking about the big one, the big competition.
Yes.
That West Ham are vying to get into at the moment. My club are currently in. We're talking about the Champions League.
Yeah.
The start of the real meaty end of the competition now with the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final. And we're just going to go over the teams left in it. We're recording this in between the two legs of the quarterfinal. So obviously Chelsea and Porto, Bayern, PSG, Liverpool, Real Madrid, and City and Dortmund have all played their first legs, and we'll go over the results of those as we go along. But no, we're very. I personally am very excited to see Chelsea in it still. It's been a while since we've contended in this competition, so it's really exciting for me.
I'm excited Jamie, obviously, to have 3 English teams in the competition still as well.
Yeah,
I like.
It's been a bit of a theme. It's been a bit of a theme recently with the Champions League. The English teams have succeeded and done well in it. So long may that continue.
Indeed.
Right.
We're just going to dive right in.
Yeah. So the first game was
Real versus Liverpool.
That's it. We'll talk about Liverpool. One of the English teams.
They weren't very good, were they? Well, I didn't think they were.
They weren't fantastic. If we're being brutally honest about Liverpool, they weren't fantastic. Trent Alexander-Arnold himself personally had a
bit of a shocker.
Had an absolute shocker, and was wholly to blame for Liverpool's goal. But overall, I mean, it wasn't a horrendous performance from Liverpool. Real Madrid obviously are a seasoned Champions League side, and if you make mistakes against them, know exactly how to.
Yeah, but Liverpool are a seasoned Champions League side as well.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it was a tough game for Liverpool. Obviously, Real Madrid they didn't have kind of the gravitas of playing at the Bernabeu. They're playing at Real Madrid's training facility at the moment. I think their games. But no, overall, not the best performance from Liverpool. And to be honest, as much as I'd like to sit here and say that we're due another Anfield miracle comeback and Liverpool are going to come back from this and turn it around, I just can't see it with the state of their defence. And I can't see Real Madrid not scoring at Anfield.
Well, yeah, that is the one thing that's good about that Liverpool can take into Anfield is that they've got that away goal that Salah scored. But it wasn't a wholly convincing performance, and you don't look at that and say Liverpool are going to come back. But then we said that about Barcelona a couple of years back now, so it's different gravy. And Vinicius Junior, I thought was very good. He had a couple of bright moments, and he was looking like the player that he was hyped up to be in the big moments. So long may that continue. But I just think very lacklustre, which is so unlike Liverpool that we've seen over the past few years. And you can put it down to their injuries. As we've long documented on this podcast, the woes of Liverpool Football Club. But they've still got players up top that can score the goals. And obviously it's unfortunate having a centre-back pairing of Kabak and Phillips, but when you've got Salah, Jota and Mane up front, you should really be scoring goals as well. Especially with weakened Madrid defence as well, with the inclusion of Rafael Varane, who tested positive for COVID-19, I think. So you've got to look at it and think this is a really poor result for Liverpool.
It is a poor result. It is a bad result, and they'll be hugely disappointed with it. Obviously, looking at the other two teams in the bracket of their competition, because obviously this year, because of some reason, they've had to do quarterfinals and semi-final draws together. So all the teams are aware. All the teams are aware of who they'll be playing before the final. Absolutely. And I think Liverpool, especially with the teams in their half, with us and Porto making up, with Chelsea and Porto making up the other half of that bracket, Liverpool would have felt quite positive about their chances of progressing further on in the tournament. It's not like you've got both the finalists of last year, PSG and City, or PSG and Bayern. You haven't got on the other side I mean, let's be honest, champions elect, Manchester City, the Premier League champions elect.
Yeah.
So Liverpool would have felt good about it, but I think overall they were beaten rather resoundingly in the end, and
by the better team as well.
A lot of it was self-inflicted, which is something that they're going to have to review and come back to, and hopefully they'll produce a performance reminiscent of old Liverpool.
Yeah,
in the second leg.
I hope so. I'd like to, as a neutral in this sort of competition. Hopefully not for long though. I always like to see English teams do well, and I know that's not a popular sort of thing, but I always support the English team in this sort of thing. It's disappointing.
You've got to support the English teams to an extent.
Yeah.
I think I would like, I just purely because I used to watch the Chelsea Liverpool Champions League games growing up. I would like to see us play Liverpool.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't want to see us play Real Madrid, but I would like to say if we were to get through, I would like to see us play Liverpool.
Yeah, there's some very strong teams though.
We will find out in the second leg what happens there. It is definitely heavily weighted in the favour of Real Madrid.
Have you got a prediction for the second leg? Should we do that for all of the games?
Let's do that. Right, yeah. I think it will end up being 2-1 Real Madrid.
Do you reckon?
I think Liverpool will fly out the blocks early, try and get a goal, and I think they'll get caught.
Yeah.
I think Benzema score, and once Benzema scored for Real Madrid, I just can't see Liverpool getting 4. It just doesn't, and they'll have to get 4, and I think they'll get caught again chasing games. This is the thing with this game now, that Liverpool have now got to really chase it. Obviously, but it's worth noting that Real Madrid have obviously got to play El Clasico this weekend, so they've got
their focus will definitely be on that.
Yeah, and then they've got to travel, so there could be an element of fatigue. Obviously, Liverpool playing this afternoon against Aston Villa,
which is not an easy game by any stretch. But at the same time, you've got to contend with domestic fixtures on the weekend when you're looking at these Champions League games. So, Liverpool will be looking at Real Madrid playing in the Clasico and maybe hoping that they're going to expend some of their energy on that one and hopefully try and be. You've got to come to Anfield and you've got to be intense. Anfield has always been an absolute fortress for Liverpool up until about 7 games ago in the Premier League, and they've lost about 5 or 6 in a row there now. So they've got to turn this back.
Yeah, it's worth noting that the absence of fans will affect them as well.
Absolutely.
Those great nights, those great Champions League nights where Liverpool have come back at Anfield have been so driven by the atmosphere in that ground, and they will be missing it. They will be missing it. But that is unfortunately
that's football at the moment.
That's a product of where we are at the moment as football fans, and that's just the reality of it. So we'll crack on. I think Jamie, do you want to make a prediction for the second leg of this game? Do you think Liverpool are going to?
I think it's going to be 2-1 to Liverpool. I think they're just going to get pipped at the end. Obviously, 4-3 on aggregate, so that means Real will go through. I think it'll be a squeaky one. But hopefully it's entertaining. Here's to hope.
I mean, I do. It will definitely be entertaining. If all of those first legs are anything to go by, it'll be entertaining.
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping that goes. So we'll move on to the next game. Of course, I believe it's City versus Dortmund.
It is.
Manchester City versus Dortmund. One of the main subplots coming into this game was the arrival of Erling Haaland.
Contentious first leg as well, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, like I said, the main subplot coming in was Erling Haaland playing against City. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours going around at the moment about his kind of transfer status and Manchester City being one of the main bidders.
Raiola on his doing a European tour,
Raiola being Raiola and travelling everywhere, trying to up the price of his transfer. I mean, I've seen a lot of rumours about the payments and who's going to get paid what, and it looks astronomical.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Haaland. We're here to talk about Champions League football. Haaland didn't get a goal the other night. Produced a wonderful assist for Dortmund's goal. But there was contentious issues. Obviously, Manchester City were Manchester City, looking like they probably got the best chance of winning this competition that they've had in a long time. Obviously, knocked out in the semi-final a few years ago against Real Madrid. But I think they're stronger this year. They've got players who can really play really, really play at the top level. Especially youngsters like Foden and.
This is a test of their mettle. This game, I think. City, obviously, Dortmund have that away goal, which is a little bit of it might be an issue for them, but at the same time, you expect City to go to the Signal Iduna and score goals, because it's what they do. It's in City's DNA, and I think, as you say, they've got the players for it. Two good goals, classic City goals. I'd say those two were just continuous pressure on the defence and good goals from De Bruyne and Foden. Obviously, there was a little bit of it's not contentious. It wasn't a foul.
No.
That Bellingham on Ederson. But obviously, and it's poor refereeing. I think he should have let the play continue. Let Bellingham put it in the net and then look at it on VAR. I think Ederson's reaction to it was very dramatic. Very dramatic.
Yeah, Ederson knows what he's done.
Yeah.
Ederson's been clever in that situation. He knows he can basically, if he goes down screaming, doing all the shit, he can buy a foul. He can make it. He knows that he has no chance of getting this ball back. So he has to basically play act and buy a foul, which is awful because the referee's completely fallen for it. And it's a shame that UEFA have put this largely unexperienced official in charge of such an important game. And it's so evident that it's cost them. I mean, that is it. The decision to disallow that goal is nothing short of embarrassing.
Yeah,
I mean,
on this stage,
I was going to say, first of all, the fact that he's blown his whistle before the ball's gone in, which referees are told not to do categorically, so that VAR can overturn things.
Yeah.
The fact that VAR is in such a place that it can't look at it once he's blown his whistle. It can't say it's farcical. And this is the thing. If that goes in and the game finishes 2-2, where now we're sat here going, it's advantage City. They're a goal ahead. They're going away. They've got the ability to play for a draw. If City draw, they go through. Whereas if it finishes 2-2, you're looking at it probably saying,
two away goals,
go back to their home ground. 2 away goals, level. If Dortmund draw 1-1, 0-0, they go through. So it really has, swayed this tie in City's favour massively, and it's a shame. It's a real shame.
But Bellingham was obviously very vocal about it on social media as well. Rinsed it within an inch of its life, and I can imagine it's frustrating for a young player like Bellingham on a stage that big to be done in by a poor refereeing decision. It's a shame, but
you can't take anything away from the performance. Can't take anything away from the performance of Man City. They were very good all the way through the game, as they very generally are. But so were Dortmund and deserved more.
Absolutely.
But again, that's what happens. I think City will win the second leg 3-0.
I think they're going to draw it. I think it'll be like 1-1, and obviously, I think that'll see City through to play Real in the next round, which will be is that right? They play Real in the semis.
No. Be PSG or Bayern. One of PSG or Bayern. That's their bracket.
I don't know the bracket. That's poor planning from
me. The bracket will be one of PSG or Bayern, which I believe. Are we talking about now? Or are we talking about Chelsea or PSG?
We're talking about Bayern versus PSG. We'll talk about Porto.
Move on to Bayern versus PSG. Move on to Bayern versus PSG, which is obviously the second game in that bracket. Probably the most showreel headline fixture of the entire round. To have these two playing each other so early is probably a bit of a shame for the neutral fans, because the neutral would have wanted these two to kind of duke it out in the semis or the final. Me as a Chelsea fan, I'm very happy they've found each other this early.
Yeah.
But it definitely lived up to the billing. It was a remarkably entertaining game.
Oh, it's not good for if you're looking at defensive.
No, but that's what we wanted. I mean, I think you look at the way that PSG played. They're very defensive. They like counter-attacking football. Obviously, they've utilised the pace of Mbappe and Neymar going forward, but to concede 31 shots on goal from Bayern Munich.
Yeah, with a more clinical striker, such as Robert Lewandowski. I don't know when he's back. I don't know if he's back for the second leg.
He's not back for the second leg.
So,
Robert Lewandowski's out. both legs. So
Could this
Bayern
be
will
the
have
end
to.
of 3 away goals as well? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's huge. And Mbappe showing his class. 3rd minute in, it's poor goalkeeping from Neuer, but at the same time, you can't take it away from Mbappe.
No, he's carved the chance out.
Marquinhos with a lovely goal, lovely touchdown from the cross in, and obviously Mbappe then sort of missed a sitter. I don't know if it was offside or not, but and then he made up for it by scoring PSG's 3rd. And I think that's a very successful night for PSG. And could this be the first, Pochettino's first foray into the trophy room?
Yeah.
That would be an interesting one to see whether.
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to play him. The thing is, if Bayern get through, then Lewandowski's back, and they're a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Because you think they have 31 shots on goal. If he connects with 7 or 8 of them, which isn't out of the realms of possibility, say, if they're centre forward, if he's back, Bayern draw, maybe win that game. So he provides such a difference for that side, and it was so evident the other night that they missed his. I mean, it's world class ability, isn't it? He's an absolute
game changing,
world class player. But take nothing away from PSG. They did everything they needed to do. The way they set up tactically was fantastic. They nullified Bayern Munich's ability to really get up to speed, and took their chances when they came. And that's just, especially PSG's 3rd goal was really impressive.
Yeah,
they're a really, really good football unit, and it's good because it's not something we've characteristically seen from Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. They've always seemed like a team of individuals that have struggled to gel. You look back at the games against United recently, where they were knocked out by the penalty.
Yeah.
The past few years they have really looked like a team full of players that individually want to win it but can't gel as a team. And now this season they really have looked a bit different.
That's what happens. I mean, obviously they're not doing as well in the league as they'd like to be. Obviously with Lille doing a title charge on them, but I think with the bringing in of Pochettino, I think is a really great sort of appointment for them, because if Pochettino can do anything, it's gel a group of players together and have them up for the fight. So I think that's what Poch will bring to PSG. I don't know but for me, I'm going to predict Bayern to go through in this. I see them winning sort of 3-1 away. And just because I don't think Pochettino is quite there yet with the players, I think there's, as you say, 31 shots on another day. That's a high amount of goals for Bayern, and especially, obviously they're missing Lewandowski for the 2nd leg, but it's still it doesn't scream like confidence for me from PSG, and I don't see them, even if they do get through, I don't see them getting to the final.
No,
I still don't think they're quite there yet. But if they win it, then I'm going to look like a mug. But it doesn't matter. We're here.
I don't think they're good enough to win it.
No.
I think if they do get to the final, one of our bracket will beat them. I think I would back Real Madrid against them personally. That might sound like a really ridiculous thing to say, but I think Real Madrid is still very solid defensively, and obviously have the threat of Benzema going forward.
Yeah.
I would back Real Madrid in the final if they were to meet each other. I'm not going to say anything about Chelsea getting anywhere because I'm a very superstitious man.
You're going to have to, because we're talking about it soon.
To round that off, I'll say that I think Bayern will win the 2nd leg 2-1.
Right.
I think they'll win the leg, but they won't win the tie. I think PSG will head through on away goals.
Lovely.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think Bayern Munich will struggle without their main man.
Yeah. No
and we move on to Chelsea.
Yeah.
My team.
Yeah. We watched this game, both of us.
We did.
I wanted to watch the Bayern PSG game, but I wanted to talk to Sam about the Chelsea game and what this result means for Chelsea, and if they have a proper shot at the Champions League this year. I think it's an interesting one. I think it's I watched the whole game. Mason Mount's goal was chef's kiss. It
was fantastic.
And I counted it down in the group chat. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good goal from Mason Mount. 3. 2, 1. Sam comes in, all caps. Oh my God, Mason Mount. Second coming of Christ.
He is. He's the second coming of Jesus. He's the second coming of Frank. I'm telling you. No, it's. We actually generally, I've got to be honest. For large proportions of this first half, Porto were head and shoulders the better team.
Yeah.
Porto were pressed really high. You know, a really well-oiled, well-structured, really well-drilled side. They
are. They showed that against Juventus in the.
And it's also worth mentioning that they are lacking their two best players. Taremi and Sergio Oliveira have scored 40% of their goals this season. Right. So to lack those two through suspension was a big loss. Porto. But take nothing. I'm not going to take anything away from Chelsea. We weathered that storm really well.
You did.
Ed Mendy himself had put in a really good performance, commanding his box, and
he's just very
players
good.
like Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Aspilicueta.
Ben Chilwell's goal was a bit special as well.
Ben Chilwell's goal was fantastic. Yeah. Overall, it was a very good team performance, and we marshalled the game very well. We didn't go out to batter them. We didn't overdo it going forward. We were very, very controlled, and
that's what I'll always say about the Chelsea team under Tuchel is you're always quite comfortable on the ball. You're comfortable in sort of having options available to you at all times, and I think that's what teams like Porto try and capitalise on. If you're not on it the entire time, if you're not there for the pass, if you're not there for the shot, Porto will punish you, and they did that against Juve in the round previous. But I think, as we say, Chelsea coming back off that loss against West Brom as well, I think is a huge reply from them, and that second away goal from Chilwell will prove to be extremely important, because 1-0 you sort of think, you've got the away goal, but Porto coming to Stamford Bridge, obviously. Oh no, it's in Seville, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, but
Seville, which is
anyway,
ridiculous. But move on from.
But yeah, if they get one goal, then it's evens, and then you're looking at a far more open game. But I just think Chelsea will have this tie quite comfortably. I'm going to predict that. I don't know what you're going to say, but I just think they looked. Porto put a lot of pressure on, and they looked a little bit shaky at times. But I think most of all, you have that quality to punish teams like Porto. It's just a shame that your striker's still misfiring. He obviously had a couple of chances. Did he actually think he'd
there were positives and negatives out of this game. Chelsea overall as a team played fantastically, but Timo Werner and Havertz just don't look at the races at all.
No.
In these really high-profile games, in these big games, they just don't look like they've got the ability. And whether it's going to come, I hope I do. I'm kind of belligerently still backing them, because I'm sat here as a romantic wanting into just begging them to come off, and you really do want it to work out for him. But
there's glimpses, but it's not enough, is it?
They got subbed off. They got subbed off, and Chelsea currently don't have a player in the top 25 goal scorers in the Premier League.
Mental.
Which, as a team in fifth, pushing for a top 4 spot is not where you want to be.
No.
With your centre forwards. I think it will be top priority in the summer. There's been rumours about Haaland. There's been rumours about Aguero. Obviously, Harry Kane today said that he's intending to leave Spurs.
I don't think you want to go Chelsea, but yeah.
But I think what I'm saying is that Abramovich will be set on centre forward. I think he'll be set on a goal scorer in the summer. However much money he needs to pay, I think he will want to pay that to get us back up.
What happens with Werner at the end of this season? It's
who knows?
Does he play for the rest of the Champions League as well? Or do you put in someone like a Giroud for the second leg? And
these are the questions that I think he'll probably put Giroud in for, because we don't have to chase this game. We don't have to chase this game. I think he'll want Giroud's presence and his ability to hold the ball up and start counter attack. Just
because obviously West Ham, I think, are very much looking at Tammy for the summer as well. I've seen a lot of outlets saying that Tammy is the number one target for West Ham in the summer. So if you lose Tammy, and then Giroud's obviously getting very, very much on in his career and Werner's still misfiring, then it's a huge problem for Chelsea, and I think they need a long-term solution for it.
That transfer budget and all the transfers will become a lot clearer, I reckon, towards the end of the season as players. This is when murmurs start to arise and players start to say things and things start to happen behind closed doors. And
silly
the last
season.
5-6 weeks of the season, this will become a lot more clear and a lot more kind of relevant in the coming weeks. But we'll talk about the game upcoming. The one thing you don't want to be against Porto is chasing the game. That is the worst position you can possibly be in against
or
this
complacent.
Team. Is chasing the game or complacent. And Chelsea did a really good job of going away against a team that everyone has written off and just doing the job they needed to do, not being complacent, not overthinking it. It's a really,
because I think almost the West Brom game was a blessing in disguise for Tuchel because he was complacent. His team selection was complacent, and he got punished for it. So I think that's a little bit of a lesson to him, where you've got to kick your players up the arse and say, look at that result, look how much that hurt, that West Brom result. If you do that against Porto, then we're going to get done in both legs here. And so I think that's really important. The lesson that teaches you, and I think Tuchel will have instilled that in the training sessions and in his team talks. So I think Chelsea will not suffer from a lack of from complacency this match. I don't think Tuchel will let him, and I think he'll have the players selected which won't get complacent. And when you have those sort of mentality players like Mason Mount, who will just the whole way, you know my feelings on Mason Mount. I wouldn't say similar to yours, because I think yours are borderline obsessive, but
I've got him deified.
Yeah, there's a shrine of him in your room, and you every night you just sort of bow down to him like this.
What a man! What a man! No, I think you're right. I think I don't want to be overconfident, but I can see us getting through the second leg because I think we'll perform well. I don't like the fact that we have to play both games in Spain. I think it's ridiculous because you say it's a neutral venue. It's a much shorter journey from Lisbon than it is from London.
Yeah,
it's not exactly a trek from where Porto are to get into Spain. Whereas for us, we've got it's a bit of a journey. But yeah, it is what it is. UEFA being UEFA about it and making it difficult. But no, I think let's do a score prediction for the second leg. I will say Chelsea are going to win 2-1. I think Porto will score early and everyone will get very nervous, and then we'll close it off.
I think it's going to be 2-2.
A
high scoring draw.
I don't know if I could deal with that. If Porto went up 2-0, I think I'd have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
So, if we're based off our predictions, I think that you've obviously put Bayern through. I think we've agreed on the other three. That would make the semi-finals Real Madrid against Chelsea and Bayern Munich against City. Two mouth-watering ties.
Huge.
Obviously, two English teams left in it. From there, who knows?
I think storyline. I'm not going to predict it, and I know it's like a lot of people will say that I'm just pandering to you, but it's storyline, isn't it? It's canon at this point. It's got to be Bayern Chelsea in the final.
It has to be. Has to be. Chelsea have got an interim manager. They've just beaten a Portuguese team in the quarterfinals. Young manager sacked.
Oh, it's all coming together.
Oh no! Spanish team in the semi-finals.
I'm getting Sam all hyped up again.
Oh no! Stop! No, because I don't think.
It's all right.
I think if I had to predict, I said we'd get to the final and lose it. I think we're good enough.
Storyline.
It's at that point I'd hurl my laptop out the window and.
You wouldn't hear from Sam. I think that's the end of the Off the Line podcast if that happened.
No, I think I'm not expecting us to win the Champions League because we're not bloody good enough to win the Champions League. But I would like to see us get to obviously I'd like to see us get to the final and have that as a kind of starting off point for Tuchel's first proper season, to say that this is what he's achieved in his first half, and then kick on the summer, get him into his first proper season. Hopefully finish top 4 in the Premier League. if I had to predict who's going to win it,
City, for me.
no, I think they'll get beaten in the semi-final.
You gonna say Real or Bayern? Because I know you're not going to pick Chelsea.
I'm going to say PSG.
Really? Oh yeah, you predicted PSG. Sorry,
I predicted PSG to go through. I'm going to say PSG will get to the semi, beat City, and then beat us in the final.
I'm all about a storyline, mate.
Jamie loves
all about a storyline. But if I'm thinking with my head, I'm going to say I think it's going to be a City Chelsea final. I think City are going to win it.
That'd be great. That would be absolutely great.
So I think you're better than Real, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's going to be what it is. That's it. Jamie said City are going to win it. I've said PSG are going to win it.
But this could be all false. You know, we could look at the second legs on Wednesday and it's going to be fucking Porto, Dortmund, Liverpool and...
Porto versus Liverpool and Dortmund versus Bayern in the other semi. And it's just going to be an absolute walkover for Bayern Munich.
That's the Champions League, isn't it? It's the beauty of it. So we'll see. It's exciting, and we will. I think we'll do a couple more videos on this because it is an exciting time of the season. And there was just sort of a lull where we just sort of went, I don't really. The content that we wanted to make wasn't really lining up with what was happening.
It wasn't viable. The thing is with the international break, it's so dull.
Yeah,
like you want to, as both of us are very big fans of club football, and you want to talk about the Premier League, and you want to talk about, but it's just not relevant. When there's international football on, no one wants to listen.
We did record a video we did a tier list on England, but I think for me, I didn't want to put it out because I knew it would just be old news in the next week.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And obviously, I think we'll look at it closer to the Euros because international tournaments are where it's at. Like that will be the focus this summer for the content here. But at the moment, we're sort of looking at the end of. We did the top 4 preview and that sort of thing, and we will continue to do that, and we'll do sort of an end of season look at everything, and it'll be an interesting one. We'll get some more guests on as well.
It's very much looking towards the end of the season now, I think, for both of us, but that is what it is, and we're both very excited because both of our teams are in actually fighting for the same thing, so you could see some rivalries come out on the Off the Line podcast and some scraps. We'll get on an undercard for a YouTube event or something.
Off the Line podcast, boxing.
But gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn the notifications bell on, all that great stuff. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the account. Again, share it with your mates, do all that wonderful stuff. Turn it up on full volume in your room and dance to it. It's been an absolute blast. From myself and Jamie, we're going to sign off and say, see you next time.
Peace and love.